earlier. It's like, are you a fan of James Bond the series? Or are you a fan of James Bond like a specific actor?
Well, I would liken him more to like pro sports, right? Like
Okay,
I'm a
that's fair.
Philadelphia Eagles fan, the
Right.
NFL. You know, if you're a football fan, you know, for all you soccer for us here in NA.
Specific actor.
You know, are
Well,
you
I would
like
liken
a
him
Manchester
more
United
to like
fan, or are
pro
you a fan of the
sports,
players?
right?
I
Like
think
Okay.
most people from pro sports would say, "Oh, I'm a fan of the team," and if you know one of your favorite players leaves that team, all of a sudden maybe they're not your favorite player anymore, Gabe. But
That's true.
with that
like
said,
pro
there's a draft underway, so I guess we can talk about that a little bit.
I'd love to. Earthshaker first pick overall for Crescendo. Kind of curious if where exactly that's going to go. It looks like we might have another fella that's coming in to join us as well on the cast.
We have the legendary Walter Draskell White.
Oh my goodness, he's going to hop in. So the way that this is working is that he had to finish. Oh my God, we're actually muted. We had to finish off his Southeast Asian cast, but he's coming in now. LD is going to take a place on the panel as well, so we're all chilling for this one. But yeah, one of the things that we were talking about earlier leading up to this is that is this going to be the first TI in a little while that Synderen hasn't qualified for?
He's qualified for a lot of them.
Yeah.
I know that for sure. It seems to be, I don't know. I think the first couple of games they played, they were picking, you know, the lone druid and stuff. It looks like they've strayed away from that a little bit. I don't know how much success they had during the later stages yesterday because I only did like the first 4 matches, but it seems like they struggled to find their place, as it were.
They're both right now, I think, around the bottom middle of the pack, and this game
Okay.
is like big for both of them because they're almost out at that point if you end up losing this one.
Yeah, I am looking up the standings right now, so I will give you guys the official scoop. In
I don't
just a
know
sec.
if I've seen a Beastmaster yet.
All right, somehow I just ended up at the International 2012 Western qualifiers. That is not where we want to be right now. Those were good times, but an event that Synderen also qualified for, mind you. Okay, so let's see. Alliance is 2-3, and Crescendo is 1-4.
Yeah.
So these teams have their work cut out for them. Alliance is in 7th place right now. Crescendo in 9th.
I think 2 and 3 is actually not awful in this situation. Like it's 1 or 2 matches away from putting yourself towards the middle, or even towards the middle top, I guess.
They did play Secret already. They already played Planet Dog, which are like 2 of the top teams right now. Open qualifier teams have been doing surprisingly well, actually.
Yeah.
Across a couple of different regions, but
We watched 4 Protect 5. That actually looks fairly impressive. the other
Actually,
day.
all of their losses, it looks like, were against pretty like teams that are ranked towards the top. So in theory, you could say Alliance on paper is like an easy day 2 schedule.
Yeah.
So if they can take care of business, maybe they can squeak in.
We watched 4 Protect 5 just a second ago, and they got like completely crushed.
Who'd they play?
Secret, so it's
Oh,
understandable.
okay, yeah. The ones who are most likely going to qualify.
Exactly. But yeah, you were talking about the Beastmaster pick, going back to the draft here. Not only do we not normally see it, we don't normally see it in the second phase, or the first phase rather, second pick overall. A push lineup, right?
Yeah, I mean, they take the Venge, so yeah, push lineup, here we go. I'm curious if they're going to
Core
end up
bench?
putting this in the off lane.
Hmm.
Because see, here's the thing, right? There's a couple of things you can do. You can support the Venge, you can safe lane the Venge, you can support the Beastmaster, you can off lane the Beast, you can safe lane the Bristle, you can off lane the Bristle. So there's like probably a dozen or more laning combinations that you could possibly put together, which is the 3 heroes that they have. And all of them have their merit. Like there's not necessarily a right or wrong way to do it, considering the only 2 picks that Crescendo have is a Shadow Fiend and a Shaker. It's not really giving away a lot of information. So I guess the flexibility of their lineup is what I think personally makes it strong at the moment.
They do push really fast. They take Roche really quickly. They have great like vision control already. A little bit late in the team fight for Alliance. I'd say that's the big weakness, but they've got 2 picks to still address it.
The thing I really like too is it's like this Beastmaster into a Shadow Fiend that, you know, you want to be able to build a BKB on Shadow Fiend, be tanky, big Argent in charge, and that's just not going to happen against Roar. And maybe this Warlock is like a counter initiation is going to be a decent way to try and keep that Shadow Fiend alive, but it feels like that hero as a centerpiece might be a little bit more fragile now with all these BKB piercing disables.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be a right-click lineup no matter what, because you're going to have Inner Beast and you're going to have the Venge Aura. So BKB aside, even if you get roared or even if you don't get roared, there's going to be a tremendous amount of right-clicking going on. So okay, the Earth Spirit comes out, still could potentially be a Venge support, more likely going to be seeing the Beastmaster in the offlane, I'm guessing, at this point. And then I guess they need a mid.
10 seconds remaining.
Because I don't think Beastmaster's a limp hero. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think so.
Alliances
Seems
turn to
unlikely.
bear.
The Earthshaker feels kind of weird to me in this draft. Like when I think about early push, that's not the hero that springs to mind. That's more like team fight oriented. What do you think is the thought behind the Earth Spirit in this draft? What's going to be his job?
They wanted one playmaking hero, I believe. Because when you look at their draft, Venge, if it is a support capacity, she's an okay roamer. But most of the time, it's very hard for her to get in. Her stun range is not really fantastic. And given what they last pick, the Earth Spirit plus whatever mid Alliance are going to get wants to be able to kill Shadow Fiend. That's pretty much the goal. That's why they banned Queen, for example, because that's like one of the most common matchups where you know that the Shadow Fiend is probably going to struggle without outside influence, and you don't really want to have to commit one hero sitting 24/7 behind mid unless you absolutely have to. So in that case, it'll probably end up being the Shaker, whereas Legion will just be played by Sind, and then they're looking for their safe lane on Crescendo, and Alliance are just looking for any hero that can add a lot of damage and maybe potentially disable to kill the SF. Maybe Lina. Maybe they ban Lina. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the Legion's a nice choice here. I think good against heavy push, which Alliance could potentially be going for. Good against Bristle to ensure he's facing you. Can build the Silver Edge later on as well. So I like the Legion pick.
Oh, Sniper ban.
Crescendo have this really big 5-man team fight so far.
Yeah, Legion Commander with Warlock is pretty good. The Fatal Bonds into Overwhelming it's a ridiculous
They have a
amount
lot
of
of
damage.
spam in general, but I mean the only issue I guess is against Bristle, you can't really like spam him down, but maybe you can punish him with the duel if he's out of position.
Alliance don't really have that much sustain though. Like their lineup is very capable of hitting buildings, but they don't have anything that keeps the push going. You know, there's no dazzle, there's no healing ward, there's not really a whole lot in the way of
No Necrophos like we saw for Secret earlier today.
Maybe that's the goal then, is with that Earth Spirit, you go in and you find all of the kills in the world with these other heroes, and then afterwards you just push really quickly and you punish any team fight that's won. So maybe the last pick here for Alliance is another like team fight winner. It's hard to do against a Warlock though. That's just what that and Earthshaker excel at.
It is very tough to find an opening, I think, because the Earthshaker and Warlock are fantastic defensively. You can just Shadow Word someone, throw a random fissure, and gank over, you know? You can't really commit fully to those heroes once they're being healed or once the fissure actually comes out. So depending on how Crescendo play this, they could have still a pretty solid laning phase. The one downside is their mid is most likely going to get counterpicked, but they have the advantage of being able to counterpick as well from the safe lane.
Last couple picks now. Troll Warlord. Oh, the Razor's already banned. That would have been amazing.
Turn to pick.
Not really sure if there's anything outside of just like a nice little Lina maybe. It's the red strats though.
I like Lina. It's nice because between Roar and Laguna, you can almost guarantee that you're going to kill the Shadow Fiend or the Troll.
10
Like
seconds
that's one of the nice things about that combination.
What else is there? There's
They could go
Puck.
the route of Puck, yeah. It's a limp hero. They could go Tiny. Seems like another limp hero.
I mean, it definitely is. They love their Tiny, even a la carte. I'm not personally a big fan of it. I feel like especially with this lineup, you want someone who can do range damage, who can follow up what like that initiation from the Beastmaster.
Yeah, add to the siege.
Maybe an OD. I don't know. It's not the best sieging hero, but again, if you win the team fight hard.
Oh,
with
OD is amazing against Troll and Legion. Like,
Templar
it's very
Assassin.
good. Okay,
Oh.
there's a tower hitter. The Templar Assassin. I think it's
They're very heavy on physical damage, but Crescendo don't really have much mitigation, to be honest.
well, I think with the matchup of the TA and the Troll Shadow Fiend, I would probably actually favor the Troll Shadow Fiend matchup because you're gonna need an MKB or you're just gonna get blinded, and once the Troll pops ult, you're just gonna get like smashed by right clicks. It's actually very difficult, I think, for the Templar Assassin to fight into that. The one thing though that Templar offers that the other mids that we talked about don't is her ability to farm is pretty much unparalleled if left alone because she can do ancient stacks, and not really any other mid hero can do that. So.
And teams have not been very successful at contesting ancient stacks for the most part in this tournament.
and these teams especially don't. Earthshaker's probably the best at it with just throwing out a random fissure or whatever, but your follow-up isn't great. The other thing is
they can't really steal the Ancients, right? Like maybe Troll with the team helping him can go in, but they don't have like a Bristleback or something.
That's the one cool thing about being Dire too. Contesting Dire Ancients is like impossible because it's on a shrine. And you're like, okay, if he's doing the stack of 5 minutes, 6 minutes, which is what you normally see, for that specific reason, contesting that is like, okay.
Good luck.
They were a great Roche-taking team before. TA puts them over the top where it's going to be gone in like 3 seconds. And that's something where they could even just go for a sneak at some point in this game, which might be a little bit scary with like a, you know, Earthshaker and a Warlock in the area, but I'm excited to see how it goes. And of course, does look like Crescendo have the tower level advantage, so GG.
GG. Go next.
Just don't even play the match. Seriously, guys. We have a long day anyway. You know, let's move on.
Don't waste my time.
Yeah. I'm monstered up. I think Alliance probably are as well. You know, I'm ready. I'm feeling it.
Looks like Alliance might be able to scout out both of these ward movements here that are being made by Crescendo. Like mid, it's kind of a wash. Actually, Earth Spirit has both of them, so they'll have some good information here if they both head up to the north.
Yeah, Bo smoked up. See what happens here. And it breaks.
Hey, guys.
That was the most anticlimactic smoke break.
Ake doesn't even care. He's like, come at me, bro. Level 1 Warlock. Shadow Word is like OP.
But they do know now that there's not going to be a ward down in the bottom lane because both of those Observer wards were in mid on the Earth Spirit, which is kind of not like a huge deal or anything, but it's interesting.
Well, they can make an educated guess.
Right.
You know, it's not a guarantee one way or another. He did. Oh, that was nice. He gave one of the wards to Handskin because Handskin was still smoked. So they do end up getting the mid ward down completely unscouted, and they see the mid ward placement from Crescendo as well. So that's instantly going to get dewarded.
Owned.
Yeah, that was pretty next level, to be honest. I like that play. Cute stuff.
30 seconds to battle.
Once again, GG.
GG.
Crescendo going offensive tri-lane maybe?
I think at least it's going to be the Earthshaker block, and then maybe Ake is going to block for the Shadow.
Not really
from the
much
mid.
of a tri-lane, but
Yeah.
they're maybe just looking to guard their bounty.
Oh god, they're going to come in and contest this one though, and it should be 3 quick bounty runes for Alliance.
The battle
Yeah, the level 1 teamfight of Crescendo is not great. Earthshaker's
Pretty
spell
much
is,
dumpster tier, I would say.
It's a super long cooldown, like 15 seconds on a fissure that does 110
but
damage.
Don't sleep on the troll level 1.
Oh, they're playing around this ward as well. It's, like you said, they know that it's here, and they want to still try and see if they can maybe make something happen against the Shadow Fiend in the mid lane.
Well, either way, they're going to kill the ward. So, regardless of how much they're able to pressure, he's going to whiff the roll.
Okay, no problem. Wait, they don't have a
Wait,
sentry.
where did he put
Did
his
they not
sentry?
see it?
No, he had one. I just don't know where he put it.
Oh no.
There we go. Oh,
Uh-oh.
Oh
he
no.
got it, he got it.
Well,
Uh-oh.
Handskin looking like he might be in a little bit of trouble. Throws out the stun. Shadow Ward there as well.
They can chase for this.
He's got boots.
They're going to
He's
have
dead.
another fissure.
Oh, poor Handskin. They're thinking about holding on to it if they can, but no. They'll just use it. Give the first blood over to EGM. I'll show you if you get off my team.
Got the D word, though.
Not worth.
Not worth.
But it's something.
But you know what's worth? Limp CS right now. Super worth.
He's enjoying himself. Is this one of those matchups? Everybody says that it's always like super skill based. With the Warlock, does that change that a ton?
Well, I think he's just here to try to make sure that the SF gets something at top lane.
Oh,
What?
Cinderin.
Looks like Cinderin's going to be dying as well. Pretty well, I guess it's 3 heroes. They did use the roll. Yeah, this is still a pretty alright start for the Alliance squad. I don't think Ake, he's not going to be leaving until Limp is just completely tilted at this point. There's nothing more frustrating than just getting Shadow Word spammed.
Yeah, he's still 12-4 though. Limp is having a great time, despite that.
Cinderin is going to keep on getting pressured out here. He has level 2. Is this one of those instances where it's worth it to die to secure your level 2, or do you feel like it's still kind of rough, that death there on the Legion?
I don't think you really want to die if you can avoid it on this hero. Because worst case, you know, you can always go back to the jungle and hit some creeps a bit. The one benefit of being in this lane and dying is that it means that the heroes aren't jumping your Shadow Fiends. Like, that's one thing about it, because you know that the SF wants to hit like level 5, level 7 before he really starts, you know, pushing the wave in and then going to the jungle. That's when you can also go jungle if you want, because he's not going to be showing all the time. EGM is getting punched here by Limp in the mid lane.
It is not going to work out there. That was something, too. I was wondering about it, because for a long time it was the Warlock Legion Commander lane that was like the be-all, end-all of the off lanes, but sticking him more towards that mid to help secure the Shadow Fiend, maybe a little bit of lost opportunity there.
Well, I think it's more, you're going up against a Bristleback. Like, even if you were dual off-laning, you're against a freaking Bristleback.
Right.
Like, killing that hero is just not a thing with that hero combination.
Pablo again moving towards mid. EGM scouting him out. Believe that they still think he's over here. It's so weird, just like everybody kind of babysitting both of their heroes in the mid lane, and so far it's left Troll to actually have himself a nice little time down here bottom against the Beastmaster.
Shouldn't be too hard of a lane. Troll's got extremely high armor in melee form, and he's got a poor man's shield. So like boar harass and stuff like that, not really going to work against Excalibur in this situation. You can see how, like, it's almost disrespect levels, right? He's just like walking up and hitting him with the full creep wave. He's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want to me. I don't care.
It allows the side pull to happen. Also, Pablo going to get punched in the face here for a moment, blocked off as well, and they're not able to block his roll. So
everyone loves some ES on ES action.
Personally, I'd rather be the Rock ES. At least until like 20 minutes in. Then I want to be the...
Then you want to have that max enchant totem and just go punch people.
Oh, blocking Ancients. Gets still one stack off. This one down here also has a stack that they're going to be doing with the boar. That's a nice little piece to this as well.
Yeah, the stack game is really big for Alliance especially. They've Bristleback and TA. Even Beastmaster's pretty good at clearing the jungle. You have the Venge Towel, so...
Yeah, Beastmaster's a crazy good jungler. Everyone was on like that Veno train a while ago, but people forget Beastmaster.
The Iron Talon Beastmaster of old.
Uh-oh. Cinderin yet again in trouble, and not a whole hell of a lot of ways out of that one. Handskin's the one that picks up the kill.
I mean, it's one of those off lanes where I think Cinderin as a player, he's okay to die like that because he recognizes that it's 3 heroes. No one's ganking in Shadow Fiends. The ES is soaking mid. They're free farming bottom. So it's one situation where you can look at it and say, okay, yeah, he died 2 times, but the other way you can look at it is they're not pressuring the other lanes.
Yeah, the only worry is in this lineup, I guess there's Shaker Fissure to set up, but that's not always the most reliable. Can like sometimes block your team away even, and Legion needs a decent amount of farm compared to other offlaners, so you know, not if it was like a Clockwork, I'd say it's definitely totally worth it, but you know, still as you mentioned, the cores are farming.
Yeah, Legion's a bit different in her functionality, but in this game, just having the press the attack for the roar, I think, is one of the main reasons, and also to
press the attack's super good this game.
Yeah, it is very, very useful, and plus the overwhelming odds against impending 5-man Dota. That spell does so much damage.
Pretty absurd when you end up getting it with a 120 bonus per hero. They are still continuing to get the stack going. I think that they might realize now that this one's blocked. They're not going to go check it as of yet, so they might not get full value out of the top Ancient. As far as early rotations come out, like level 6 on Beastmaster's traditionally been this thing where you need to go in towards mid and try and find a gank. But we're kind of seeing Shadow Fiend stay out of that mid lane now. Do you think that you try and like smoke up with him when he eventually gets that and then bring on a couple of supports, or how do you see that playing out?
I think that in this case, Shadow Fiends, you don't really need to sit mid if you're able to just farm the woods like he is. He's been ferrying out clarities and stuff like that, so he's still being efficient. Top lane, Cinderin gonna be eating another death here.
There's pretty much nothing he can do aside from just like hugging the tower in that lane.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have a ward, whereas Alliance had the ward. It's going to be up for like another 30 seconds and it'll disappear. But as far as like overall movement goes, I just expect kind of the same thing to keep happening. Like Cinderin might die 1 or 2 more times, and then eventually, once the Shadow Fiend is done walking to lane and just like sitting in the woods, they can group up, maybe push the bottom tower. It's very hard for Alliance to defend that because they don't have any ultimates at all. You can actually see like a couple of Crescendo members are just grouping up down here. The tower's already kind of low. And I can't see Alliance TPing to defend that either, just because, like I said, they don't really have the tools needed to fight yet. They need Jonas and Fan to hit level 6.
This does just feel like it's maybe in some ways Crescendo getting more out of the map in general because they were able to have that Earthshaker in the mid lane soaking up a couple of waves while getting out the jungle as well.
Well, you say that.
That's going to change
Right,
with these
exactly.
ancients.
But this ancient stack is looking pretty juicy.
It did ping out that the wards or that the ancient stack was blocked up here, so they should get that dewarded relatively soon. But I mean, they're all in the area. If they notice that TA is gone, they might come and check this, but not great ways to steal it. Maybe they could at least contest.
Seems like it might be a little bit too late already.
Yeah.
This is going to get him like, what, level 9.5, maybe 10? Unless Pablo's soaking, in which case it'll be a lot less.
But then Pablo will be happy.
I mean, getting level 6 early on Earth Spirit is definitely nice, but considering the movement now, you can see Ake is solo farming bottom, so he decides that he's pretty much going to be doing the same thing. Just wants to make sure that he's trying to get something out of the map while his TA player is killing them Ancients. And they do get the D-ward on the other camp on top of that.
So stacking will continue to commence. Jonas heads off into the jungle. He has his level 6 now, and he's building for the early solar crest. So more ways to help secure Roshan, as well as just burn through the armor of a couple of these heroes.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Their method of pushing is basically like throw the boars out, put the solar crest on the bristle, and just let them whack the tower. So
yeah, it's a very solid game plan from Alliance. Very succinct. They know exactly what they want to do. If that TA gets a Deso, they have a solar crest, or even just a medallion in of itself, and they'll be able to just murder Roshan in like seconds.
And when you're fighting into this huge 5-man, you don't really want like the whole team, you know, grouped up. You want to sit way behind the bristle, maybe the TA if she has an Aegis or a lot of items, and they go on him, he gets low, you counter initiate with Magnetize, you swap him out if you need to, he heals up a bit. So they very much like want to use him as that big meat sponge, not tank the Golem, Fissure, Echo, Fatal Bonds, Overwhelming Odds combo.
Shadow Fiend going back for the Shadow Blade. Kind of a cool little build here if they end up being able to surprise them with that when that push does come. Like, it's telegraphed what it is Alliance want to do. Might be able to find that backline pretty easily.
I think you definitely want one Silver Edge this game, and I don't really see Cinder informing it right now, so...
Well, the Troll can buy one too.
That's true. Yeah, they actually have they have 3 good carriers for that item.
Uh-oh. Are they going to be able to find him?
I don't think they want to go for that. That's a Vanguard Bristle.
I mean, the idea, of course, obviously, of being able to duel the Bristleback Gam to face you and then, like, maybe pop a Shadow Fiend ulti is good in theory, but if you don't get it immediately with him under tower, it's not going to work.
Yeah. I don't think either team really feels like a ton of pressure to do something. I guess once the medallion is finished, they might feel like they want to just go do Roshan like as soon as humanly possible, potentially wait for Limp to finish up his Deso. He's just been kind of chilling in the woods, just doing jungle rotations and stuff and letting everyone else just soak from the mid lane.
I mean, normally you see, you know, like Beastmaster gets 6, or Warlock gets Golem, or Legion gets Duel. It's like, all right, let's go, you know, smoke and find a kill, find a team fight, try and take an objective. But these lineups are just so good at clearing the jungle and have so much room to scale that no one really has that big sense of urgency right now.
And there's such a big difference, though, in level between the Shadow Fiend and the TA. Like, Lim's almost level 12. Actually, he is level 12 at 11 minutes. And the Shadow Fiend's only level 10. Just, once again, showing the difference between a hero that can kill ancient stacks and one that can't in the early game.
Oh, looks like they are going to make a play here on the bottom lane.
Well, they are just going to drop the rock on his head. All right. See you later, guy.
It's the Catapult wave. You know, Catapult's still alive. Time to do a little pushing.
Honestly, this is a pretty strong push. Looks like they're going to have one more TP in.
Wow, they're going to bring it in with Era. And
Raid Boss is here, but he did not have his back turned.
Fatal Bonds doing a good bit of damage. It's brought down to about a quarter HP at this point. They are pump faking the ulti as well. And Alliance already thinking about taking this fight. They kill off the Golem, and that might stop it. Good hold.
I got the tower deny.
Yeah.
For a second there, I thought that they might have fully committed to that team fight from the side of Crescendo.
Alliance are going to have a pretty decent window here. They know the Golem's down. I mean, Shaker's not going to have a blink for some time, I believe. So if they want to try and go for a push or an objective, they potentially can look for that now. Or they can just farm ancients.
They could potentially rush as well. They know there's no blink on the Shaker, no blink on the Legion.
Yeah, I like this decision. Like, they should go for some play while that rock's on cooldown.
It's interesting that the blink first for the TA, and to me that feels like more oriented towards taking fights than going and securing Roshan. I guess that they already have the medallion, and well, Roar dropped. That's going to be a quick and easy kill onto that Warlock.
Yeah, some Fawn's Revenge.
And it seems like at the moment it's not really about too much objective-based Dota currently. The Blink Dagger is a little bit interesting to me. I think it's still good, obviously. It does help you farm because you're more mobile. It's nice when you have these initiating heroes like Beastmaster and such that you can like blink right on top of whoever gets roared and just blow them up. Get the quick kill, get in, get out.
For a long time it was like that choice of if you wanted Blink or Deso, and then it just became like almost only Deso first for a long time for TA.
I guess the other thing too is since they have Medallion anyway on Jonas and Fan, and actually he has the full Solar Crest. Yeah. So normally you want the Deso just to kill Roshan, but if you have a Beastmaster with the Solar Crest at 13 minutes in, you don't really need the minus armor from the Deso to secure that.
And you have Inner Beast, and you have the Venge, and you have Goo, so you have a lot of other amp damage type abilities already. So, nice thing with the Blink is you get that Roar initiation, you can immediately follow up and assassinate someone, where sometimes TA might not be able to close the gap at this stage of the game. She goes Deso first.
Blade Mail Legion is going to be the call. It looks like Alliance, content with trying to push this out. They get the silence on the Shadow Fiend. The Shadow Blade shown.
This is a little bit more dangerous. Gotta be careful about how you approach this mid lane. The rock's up. Crescendo still at the tower.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do this. I mean, they're making very good use of the map, even if they're not fighting on the side of Alliance.
They're like showing the bristle there, but TA's clearing Ancients, now just rotating around to farm the other lane. So, meanwhile, Crescendo are like kind of stuck. 4 heroes just clumped here in case Alliance decide to push.
And even more so than that, like Bristleback can actually come up and hit
Sin's
it.
getting jumped up top, and looks like he is going to be deleted by Lip.
Oh, all right, DD, yeah, that'll do it.
Got him.
Blink Dagger and a double damage. That's all you need.
Is that this tower? I don't know. I still don't know if they want to push mid. Just farm enemy newts. Get the Deso.
I mean, they're getting kills like in side lanes and farming the enemy jungle as well. So it's not like they're being less efficient by any means by sitting mid.
I think Alliance has a really good idea about how to play against Crescendo's draft, where they don't want to force it into that 5v5 like until the time's right. So they kind of finesse it a bit, find these little pickoffs, keep the farm up, abuse the TA and the Bristle's ability to clear big stacks, and use the Hawk to ensure that they're not getting ambushed too much. And Crescendo's like potential is largely being wasted right now. We saw one rock, it was on a solitary offlane Beastmaster. And they are starting to feel pressure like they have to find that fight.
All right, they need to make something happen with this. It's been 5 heroes sitting mid for a long time. They're going to run into Hanskin. He's just going to run away from him. I don't know if they're going to be able to do this. They drop the rock onto 3. It's pretty good. Hanskin is going to die there, but they managed to find the silence. And again, while all this is happening, the Deso is coming up for Limp. He's almost got it.
The one thing, too, about like the TA and the Shadow Fiend matchup. Oh, might have to hold that thought, Era. He's manning up here.
This tower is so important for this potential next Roche duel, and with the rock going down, if they can hold it, they might be able to with this Deso. Things could get ugly for Crescendo.
They're stacking up the damage. There's a lot of quills. The silence, the magnetize, it's out. Ake is gone in an instant, and well, more too off the back of it. They have the Blink Dagger if they want to keep up the chase. EGM slowed down and Limp does end up getting stunned, but with everybody back, it is all falling apart. Crescendo are just being bodied right now.
Yeah, the TA is just ridiculously strong. You partner that with just having the ability to kill Roshan super fast right after a team fight like that. They committed Rock. You know, there was no blink on the Earthshaker. EGM's still like 800 away. That troll can't really fight yet. Like, he only has a Vlad's and phase moves. It's not like having a blink Deso at 17 minutes on a TA. This is the kind of snowball potential that we were talking about during the draft, and just the capability of this hero getting completely out of control. And it seems like despite, you know, Crescendo warding one of the ancient camps, the Beastmaster stacks the other. Limp still gets his item timings, and one fight means Roshan.
And Shadow Fiend, meanwhile, could be in trouble here. I think they have Dust for the Shadow Fiend.
Oh, God. He's dead.
They saw him walk up there. They like literally they had that entire thing under vision. This Hawk spotted him moving up to the top lane. TA started rotating over. They just know everything. Like, they're prepared for every movement. And I think that Blink Dagger, it was such a cool idea because it didn't stop them from finding kills with the Beastmaster, and it allowed her to farm that second item so much more quickly.
Yeah, but the synergy of the lineup is fantastic on the side of Alliance. You get this damage, this attack speed, the minus armor. It's the triple threat. So because Shadow Fiend loves building this really fast BKB, it's kind of really hard for him to itemize, right? Because there's a Deso, there's a Solar Crest. If the TA gets on top of you, you get the -7 armor from the Deso and an additional -8 from getting the meld cast on you, and that goes through BKB as well.
Shadow Fiend needs a lot of items this game. He needs like
6 plate mails. He just needs to fill his inventory with plate mails. That's how you live.
Plate mails and a butterfly.
This is feeling really
But even
bad.
then, you're just getting roared and, you know,
Yeah,
kited
you probably
anyway.
still die, yeah.
It's not great.
That's, I think, one of the biggest complaints that people used to have about Slardar. Because Slardar makes it incredibly hard to itemize for the same reason. Because Corrosive Haze just takes away so much armor that these heroes that love to rush BKB just get smashed. Because they just get right-clicked to death. They're like, oh, I'm magic immune. But wait, I get hit 3 times by a TA and I'm just dead. So
and in this game, you really need the Silver Edge for the Bristle, it feels like, with how big he's getting.
They're going to build a Halberd here in a second as well.
I don't...
Era.
I mean, it's not like a single core threat. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
We've mostly seen TA taking over, but the Bristle is going to be a real problem for them as well.
Oh, dust hits. It's a little bit deep, though.
I mean, they're they're just doing whatever they want. They have those items up now that they can blow up anybody. They're going to jump forward and duel. I don't know if this is the right play necessarily. The stun
TA
silence.
in the back.
On to 3, maybe some more. Limp trying to do it. The Echo Slam I'm actually controlling, but this is just going to be the Aegis, and they jump through again. Magnetize out. A lot of damage being dealt by Alliance. They just got to run, and holy hell, this is domination.
Well, they did prove that they could kill the TA one time. They just had to echo him and golem him.
And now what do you do? Like, what's their plan now?
They're going to need a really good fight. Fissure block. Fissure block the ramp. That's your play.
Yeah, he's waiting for the next wave, I think. He'll be able to hold it for now. Get the Hawk, too. A little bit of breathing room for Crescendo. It's still a long way back. Like, there are so many items that need to come out.
It's also scary for Crescendo because they don't have heroes that are particularly great at split pushing. Shadow Fiend is the Shadow Blade, but as long as you carry a Dust, like, he's likely to die if he's off on his own. So even BKB TP, you could get swapped, you could get roared. So leaving the base if they lose these last few towers is going to be pretty difficult.
I'm wondering if he just wanted to, like, rush something like Hurricane Pike instead of Shadow Blade, just to get. He needs distance in this game. He needs to be able to stay away from the Bristle and the TA, because he can't win a right-click war against really either of them. And the BKB only really guarantees that he'll be able to get a Requiem off, but I don't know if a Requiem really wins you a team fight unless there's like a perfect Fatal Bonds, like between 5 heroes.
And it's not even guaranteeing the Requiem. Like, they're just bringing 1 Sentry Ward, and like suddenly the Shadow Blade doesn't do anything.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing, I guess, in this game is that he really hasn't been the roar target, because they have to roar Cinder in. If they don't roar Cinder in, then that person who gets roar just gets pressed the attack, and they're able to do whatever they want. It's good on Jonas and Fan, too. He's been pretty much exclusively using roar on the Legion. No one else.
Poor Sind.
Dude, it's a struggle for this Legion. You know, you have this idea of, yeah, let's pick Legion because we can just, you know, get rid of the...
Counter Beastmaster,
yeah, we can get rid of the roar. JK, I'm going to get roared every time. All right, I'm dead.
And they're going to tri-lane me pretty much the entire laning stage.
Yeah.
Feels bad.
I mean, you could tell what they wanted to do. It just didn't really quite work out the way they wanted. And regardless of how much, you know, emphasis they put on killing Sind, which I feel like was quite a bit. They sat those 3 heroes top for a long time. It's just that the TA still out-farmed the Shadow Fiend in regards of like levels and net worth in the early game. Like, sure, he's recovering now and just like total last hits and stuff, but the net worth still
just disgusting. Oh my god.
And then Bristleback's doing the other side. So
Yeah, this is pretty.
This is
most
over.
This is like the most ridiculous flash farming lineup I think you can have in this patch. Bristle and TA probably the two single best ancient stack clearers.
And they have to do this, like 5 heroes together next to each other, because if they don't, it's just an instant worry of getting picked off by a roar and a TA jump.
I just really like the way that Alliance played the game. They didn't go for like this crazy aggressive, let's dive the Shadow Fiend a million times, let's invade their jungle. They said, nope, we're just going to out-farm you.
Well, swap away to keep him alive. They drop the rock. Echo Slam as well. Can they kill him off? Handskin barely going to be brought down. They drop the roar as well, and now TA's coming in. She has her BKB.
They need to get out.
Man, they just dropped everything and they only killed the Venge.
It's so bad.
And they get the minus, Vengeance R as well, and they're gonna lose some here. Great boulder smash.
Oh, silence as well. That's another kill. And Cinderin, is he going to get out of there? He does barely by the skin of his teeth.
The thing is, like with the Echo and the Rock blown, their high ground defense, which is pretty amazing on paper, is not that great.
They still have the Shadow Fiend that can, I guess, kill the creep waves really fast, but he's pretty much going to be stuck mid now.
There's still a tier 2 top to claim.
And Alliance can wait for the next Roshan. Every time that there's not pushing, they're also, as we've talked about time and again, getting so much out of the map that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the efficiency coming in from Alliance this game is...
That's one thing I think we saw when they played the Tiny IO the other day. Like they're very patient about their fight selection, and they're very good at keeping a strong economy. I think that's really where they excel, is like when they don't feel that pressure to force it, they know they can go late, they know they can wait for fights until they're ready. Those types of drafts seem to suit them the best.
Yeah, they didn't play into Crescendo's lineup at all. Like, they didn't go for aggressive maneuvers. They just said, okay, you have an Earthshaker and a Warlock support. Those heroes just don't make moves on the map.
They're very clunky.
They're static. They sit in one spot, and sure, there was a nice early block, and they get the first blood, but after that, it seemed like pretty quiet on the front of EGM and Ake being able to do things. Whereas Pablo, him and Hanskin were able to kill the off lane like 3 times, and they pressured mid a little bit, not that much, but in that time that they weren't doing anything, they were just stacking away.
Speaking of which, more stacks coming out. They don't quite get that one, but
This is where I would love to see that new feature that Layearth is working on, or Pitmuckle with the little pie chart of gold from ancients, regular creeps, all that stuff. Because I have to imagine the ancient gold is a lot. Well, it's probably one of the highest games ever.
Dude,
to be
this
honest.
TA has 18k net worth.
it was looking at 715 GP.
And there's only
21
12
minutes.
kills. There's like barely that many kills. They still haven't really broken the base.
Yeah, this is insanity. Roshan's gonna be up pretty soon too.
Ancient stacks are back, baby. So here's a question then, more meta-oriented. If TAs continue to do this, as they have been throughout these qualifiers, are we going to see more of those lineups aimed at trying to contest ancient stacks, like what happened with Sven before?
Well, there's
7.0?
really only a handful of heroes that abuse it this heavily.
It's like Sven, Bristle, TA.
Tide can do it to a lesser extent too.
He gets
but
pretty owned by the new ones, actually, also. That's the other problem.
oh, you mean
'cause
the
they're
Prowler
regen.
Shamans?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, there's really only a couple of heroes that you have to worry about it too much.
There are other heroes that can farm them like with items, but the whole point with those 3 heroes, they can farm them so fast and so early. They get this
Yeah.
huge power spike.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there is something to be said for like warding ancients and stuff when you're playing against those types of heroes, but at the same time, just warding them isn't really enough. If you can't contest them, then it's a problem. And I think that's kind of what we saw this game, because again, the supports just don't fight. They're very good at stopping dives and very good at keeping static lanes, going and strong. But if the enemy team is out-greeding you, these are the worst supports to have, because they can't make moves, they can't pressure the map. And because your mid player and your safe lane player can't also kill the same types of stacks, you're not getting the same amount of efficiency out of the map no matter what you do. It's just not going to happen. So then you're relying on your team fight. You need your Golem to be on point. You need a Blink Dagger early on your Shaker. You need your Shadow Fiend to
Oh, the quad board.
snowball. Yeah, there's a lot of boars.
It's always fun. I love that new talent when it works, but you see right there, like, the Beastmaster and the Venge, along with a couple boars, just ended up taking Roche, and like...
That's not even their heavy hitters, you know? There's no TA there, there's no Bristle there until the end. They're still just easily able to grab it.
Yeah, I don't know what the record is for GPM on a TA, but Limp is, he's got a good amount of GPM here.
He's hit a handful of creeps this game. Can confirm.
Not bad.
I mean, they have an 18K net worth lead at 27 minutes. That's insane.
They should be looking to break the base with the Sages.
So this is one thing that I'll say, is that in the Champions Cup games and a couple of the Alliance games, they're really hesitant to break the base, and sometimes it comes back to bite them, where they like then throw away the advantage when they go high ground.
They are wise to be cautious with this Crescendo draft. Like, they excel in choke points, they excel in 5v5. If the ults are on cooldown, they're really not that scary, but if they've got the full complement of abilities, you do want to give it a healthy dose of respect.
They do have a 10-second BKB and an Aegis, though.
That's true. And you have to swap if someone really gets in trouble.
At the very least, they should try to get a tier 3.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
This is the, and that's the thing, is like, occasionally I've seen it in this situation where they don't go for that tier 3 and then they end up being punished later. Seems incredibly unlikely this game.
We're just setting them up for the
Exactly.
ultimate comeback. This is where the road to TI begins for Cinder. And the guy always seems to make it there, and it starts now with a big jump and big BKB retreat. All right, maybe not.
Bottom lane's being pressured as well. They have...
See, this is smart because they don't want to get hit by the full combo, so they're just going to spread out and not be, you know, all 5 in one lane.
A dual era. Swap to keep him alive for the moment. They're still going to continue to chase this out. Handskin is gone.
He's got the cheese.
Era returns it back around. The stun silence combo onto 2.
They're taking top in the meanwhile while this is happening, and they can't even kill the Bristle once.
Yeah, this is depressing.
So that was really well played by Alliance. That was like checkmate, basically.
Rock dropped. Limp does not really care. Takes down the Shadow Fiend. Excalibur is getting some nice little bashes here, but again, Aegis is in hand, and more so, they might not even necessarily completely need it. They pop the Shrine. Control Willard getting tanky again. They buy back on Shadow Fiend. Everybody runs away. Looks like they should be able to make their escape. Well, Era does his thing.
Well, they did get the tier 3s. Got melee racks to about half HP. They still have Requiem, though. So I think that they might be able to hold this off. Limp popped his BKB prior to the Aegis fading, so he won't have it here if he wants to go in.
They're all moving up top right now.
That's a sad Legion commander.
Yeah.
0 duels.
His itemization is, I think, actually about as good as you can make it for this type of game. Like, you can't really duel anyone on that team with a Blade Mail and expect to even get a win.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty hard game to win a duel anyway. Like, you get a good duel, then you can just swap that hero out. You know, the Bristle TA are pretty immortal in most cases.
Limp has a butterfly. And
Oh,
1,000 gold on top of that.
This is a tough one.
This is a character building game for Crescendo.
Yeah. Again, it's in a lot of ways a must-win too for them. Like, it's not completely. I think there's still a way to make it work.
Isn't 1 in 5 mathematically eliminated? It's got to be very close. I'm sure 6 losses is, if not 5.
It ain't good. No matter what is going on.
You have to be top 5 in the group. I'm gonna do some math here while you guys cast.
Limp is about to be level 25 also, at 31 minutes in.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I wonder if he goes for the minus armor.
Oh my god.
Normally you see the refraction instances, right? And the old one was respawn talent, but they replaced it with the 8 additional minus armor on meld. So that makes it 16 plus the Deso, so 23 minus armor.
At some point, it really is like a stop. He's already dead kind of thing. But they've got enough physical damage buffs, I would say. Mercy.
Yeah, the refraction is really nice for siege though, because you get the tank the tower basically. You got butterfly evasion already. You can have a solar crest cast on you.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're mathematically eliminated, but it's gonna be tough. They need, if not this game, they like pretty much have to win out the rest of the way.
There's a lot of stacks still being made in the jungle. Era's going to take those out. He's going back for the Octarine core next. And I guess that they're just going to wait for the next round of Aegis and picking it up for Roche. It blows my mind how methodical they've been with this. And it hasn't ever felt like the game has been outside of their control. From the very beginning, they just sort of picked their points around the map. And like the lead has continued to be built, and there's basically been no kills during that.
That's a beautiful graph.
It's
if you're
amazing.
an Alliance fan, just a slow, smooth slope downwards. At some point, it does become sadistic, though. It's like put the poor bastards out of their misery, take the racks, win the game. But they'll wait for one more Roche, I imagine, and then go for it.
She did go for the refraction instances.
Yeah, I figured. It's nice to get the meld when you're not in such a commanding lead, because it does allow you to burst the heroes just that much faster. But when you're predominantly sieging and just running around the map and hitting creeps, then it makes more sense just to get the bonus damage and the extra refraction instances. So, smoke here from Crescendo, looking for something. Gonna run into potentially the smoke here of Alliance.
Oh.
It's really hard to get the jump here with the boars, all the waves pushing in, 2 lanes of racks opened up.
All right, Era, they don't get the duel. Oh, they want to block him off, though, with the fissure, and they will find it now. They get the break as well. Requiem going to come out. Everything dropped just about.
Oh, they're getting redded.
Except for those big ultis. Now they need to get back quickly. You do still have Warlock ulti that's available. If they can find a good one here with the Fatal Bonds, it would be...
God, look at that damage from the TA.
Jump in.
Oh
my God.
God.
Troll is just gone. Oh, they want to do something with the Shadow Fiend, but they really don't have an option. They buy back on Era. He is there. Oh, Crescendo. They're just, tickling him. There's nothing happening. This barracks is gone, and they can't do anything to stop it.
That was such a well-executed gank on the Bristle, too, and there's just nothing left to do with this 26K net worth TA.
Excalibur trying to man up against Era. They get the Force Staff away, the Hurricane Pike actually from Limp, and they can just make the move on down to the bottom lane. The most thing that's impeding Alliance right now is the movement speed to get from lane to lane. There's nothing that they can do to stop it.
There's an echo. Gotta be slightly careful if you're the Bristle.
They can probably just go back. I don't really see Crescendo chasing this.
I think Alliance just chill, wait for that next Roche, especially with the Bristle not having buyback.
Yeah, this is quite good for them still. It doesn't feel like it's been 35 minutes, but it's just been like the same game basically going on time after time. Farm, 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 take a couple towers, and then do it all again.
Well, it is going to be a fast Roche spawn. So some of the fastest you can possibly get, actually. It's within a 30-second mark.
Oh, they're going for a smoke here again for Alliance.
Looks like they might run into Cinder and EGM, possibly. Now jump forward.
Oh, no, he messed up.
Mark doesn't able to get it. They do instead blow up Ake, and now all hell is about to break loose. They jump forward. Excalibur about to be gone. They swap back another Cinder and trying to get another. Echo Slam comes out. Is it going to be enough? Not nearly. And
GG.
Yeah, GG's called. That's it. Dead so quickly. That one hurt. That was really bad.
I feel like I just watched someone get dissected while they're still alive. Like they just like chop off a finger, then they go back for the foot. And like they're fighting as best they can for Crescendo, but that was very clinical by Alliance.
That was like 8,000 damage dealt by the TA in that last fight.
Yeah, the Shadow Fiend got wrecked. It's not a good matchup at that stage of the game.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend typically, he wants to play into lineups